has landed up in Goa. What should India do? Ignore him or engage with him? That's my top focus on the Newstrack.
Bilawal arrives in India. First Pakistani official visit in 12 years. Does Bilawal carry any weight? What can India do with Bilawal? Sun, sand and skepticism in Goa. Big focus on Newstrack.
There's a SCO foreign ministers dinner taking place in Goa at this moment. Foreign Minister Jaishankar likely to come face to face with Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto. We'll get you all the latest from Goa. Tomorrow is the big SCO foreign ministers meeting. What's on the agenda? What can we expect? We look at that and more. Let's get started. Here are the headlines. I'm tracking to that. Battle over the Bajrang Dal gets bigger. Hindu group workers recite Hanuman Chalisa across India. Congress's DK Shiv Kumar seeks Bajrang Bali's blessings. Says he will prioritize the construction of new Hanuman temples. Dangal for justice continues. Geeta Fogart taken into preventive custody at the Delhi-Haryana border. Protesting wrestlers accuse the Delhi police of assaulting them. Gangster Anil Dujana killed in an encounter by UP cops in Meerut. Weeks after Don Atiq Ahmed's son was gunned down in Jhansi. India today accesses CCTV video of gangster Tillu Tajpuria in Delhi's Tihar jail. He was stabbed over 100 times by rivals. Internet suspended across Manipur for the next 5 days after fresh violence during a tribal agitation. Governor gives shoot at sight orders. For the first time in 12 years, a Pakistani minister is in India. Bilawal Bhutto landed in Goa earlier today. He is here to attend the SCO foreign ministers meeting. But there will be no Jaishankar-Bilawal bilateral. India has made it clear that it is impossible to engage with a neighbor that sponsors cross-border terrorism.
After a gap of 12 years, Pakistan's foreign minister lands in India, though not for a bilateral meet, but to participate at a multilateral Shanghai Corporation Organisation meet. In 2011, Hina Rabbani Khan, currently Deputy Foreign Minister of Pakistan, had come to India as Pakistan's foreign minister. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, before his departure from Karachi for Goa, insisted Pakistan was committed to SCO.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि आज मैं यहाँ गोवा पहुँचा हूँ। शंघाई कॉर्पोरेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में शिरकत करना, पाकिस्तान के डेलीगेशन को लीड करना, और मैं उम्मीद रखता हूँ कि इंशाल्लाह ताला जो हमारा SCO का CFM है वो बहुत ही कामयाब होगा।
There is no bilateral dialogue scheduled between India and Pakistan. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar had recently made it very clear dialogue is not possible when one neighbor uses terror as an instrument of state policy.
India takes a generous and non-reciprocal approach to cooperation with smaller neighbors. India's most pressing priorities are obviously in its neighborhood. The exception to this, of course, is Pakistan in view of the cross-border terrorism that it supports.
Though Pakistan claims it is committed to the SCO agenda, including fostering peace and good neighborly relations, Islamabad does not walk the talk. Pakistan has taken no action against UN and US designated global terrorists flourishing on its soil with full state support. Despite US and UN sanctions, Pakistan has not persecuted and punished Hafiz Saeed for Parliament and 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Masood Azhar for Parliament, Pathankot and Pulwama terror attacks, and Dawood Ibrahim in Karachi for 1993 Mumbai serial blasts. Cross-border terrorism is on the agenda, and there are apprehensions in Pakistan that Dr. Jaishankar will expose Pakistan's state-sponsored terror at the forum. Pakistan will not be able to raise Kashmir since SCO charter prevents raising of bilateral issues. Imran Khan, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, accused Bilawal Bhutto Zardari of buckling under US and Indian pressure.
ये जो बिलावल का जो टूर है हिंदुस्तान का, इसको मैं आप कैसे देखता हूँ? मुझे ये जो शक है और खौफ है कि इन जो ये मौजूदा गवर्नमेंट में बैठे हुए इनका कोई नजरिया नहीं है.
Pakistan's former High Commissioner to India, Abdul Basit, also hit out at Bilawal for coming to India, accusing the Pakistan government of letting down their Kashmir agenda.
और मैं इतनी सी गुजारिश करना चाहता हूँ बिलावल साहब से, हाथ जोड़ के करना चाहता हूँ कि चलिए आप जा रहे हैं, ये गलत फैसला है मेरे हिसाब से. हमें चाहिए था कि हम अपनी पार्टिसिपेशन को थोड़ा सा नीचे लाते.
Though there are other sane voices in Pakistan, they say only India can help Pakistan emerge from its acute financial crisis, and that Pakistan needs to wake up to ground realities and stop being a state sponsor of terror. With Geeta Mohan in Goa, Bureau Report, India Today.
Our Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan joins me live from the Bilawal beach area of Goa. This is the venue of the SCO Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting. With us also on this broadcast is Abdul Basit, former High Commissioner of Pakistan to India, Sushant Sareen, one of India's leading strategic affairs experts, Brahma Chalani, top expert on China, and Kanwal Shukla, leading defense and strategic affairs expert. Goa, ordinarily, if you're anywhere near Bilawal beach, Geeta, you'd imagine that on a Thursday evening you'd be having a good time. No such luck, though, unfortunately for you and for our teams in Goa. There was to be an SCO Foreign Ministers dinner, which is where Jaishankar and Bilawal Bhutto would most definitely come face to face. Is it absolutely certain that there's no question of a pull aside, even if it's just for a brief period? Is Jaishankar intending to completely ignore Bilawal Bhutto? Is that the plan that the MEA has?
Well, for now, Rahul, that seems to be the case. But we know many of us have covered India-Pakistan at such multilateral fora. And every time you have an India-Pakistan in the room, the unexpected can be expected. So not a pull aside, certainly, but let's see whether if they have a brief conversation. What we're given to understand is that live images and visuals of the cultural event at the dinner, which has just begun, Rahul, is going to be shared, but nothing when it comes to the ministers. So we'll have to wait and see if the Pakistani team or others share visuals of any kind of conversation. We'll get information on that front, but for now it seems like they really do not want to have any structured meeting, even a pull aside between the two leaders. This also comes, Rahul, at a time when Bilawal not so long ago used real unparliamentary language for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the message is very clear that right now is not the time for India to really engage Pakistan. So unlikely that a structured, even a pull aside could take place, but maybe a brief conversation or a handshake. We'll again have to read into that if a handshake really takes place.
You know, I was at a high level meeting just a couple of days ago where the SCO meeting was being discussed, and the mood very clearly in the Ministry of External Affairs is that we do not wish to engage. There is no point because there's very little likely to come out of it. Geeta, stay with us. We'll come back to you just as those live images start coming in. I want to go across to High Commissioner Basit to get a sense from Pakistan on Bilawal Bhutto's likely mindset and approach as he hits Goa. Is he here just to keep this as part of the larger Shanghai Corporation Organisation framework, where India-Pakistan doesn't matter as such, or is he likely to use this opportunity of being the first minister in 12 years on Indian soil to try and engage in some form of grandstanding, to try and show his public back home that he came to India and he threw a few punches? High Commissioner Basit.
Thank you very much. Actually, I have already been accused by Geeta Mohan as an insane person. But in any case, be that as it may, I do not harbor illusions. Having served in the Foreign Service and having dealt with the Pakistan-India relation, and I think our side had made it very clear. Our Foreign Minister is going just to attend the SCO Council of Foreign Ministers meeting, and there is no bilateral schedule. So I do not see as to how the two countries can really, or there is an opportunity for the two countries to take this or to get out of the present impasse. So this is what my take is. This meeting will take place. The SCO meeting will take place, but I do not see that the two countries are, as of today or as of tomorrow, ready to engage in a bilateral conversation.
Can you give us your sense of the kind of political standing that Bilawal Bhutto comes to India with? We saw the nasty things he said about Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently, completely unacceptable from an Indian perspective. That puts him more in the crosshairs of the Ministry of External Affairs, taking away any leeway that Minister Jaishankar may have had to at least spend some time with him. And he's also under attack in Pakistan. I saw that comment where youths were criticizing him for coming to India. Imran Khan, the former Pakistan Prime Minister, saying, again, this seems to be a mistake. So a lot of people in Pakistan questioning why Bilawal Bhutto has shown up in Goa.
That is correct. The opinion in Pakistan is divided. Some are saying that it is good that he has gone to Goa and that may help break the ice and perhaps, help create a conducive, congenial atmosphere between the two countries. On the other hand, people like me who strongly feel that this is not the time, since Pakistan has taken a position post 5th August 2019, and we do not see any flexibility on the part of India on the issue on the core Jammu and Kashmir dispute. So there is no, reason for us to go to India. Having said that, we also need to reaffirm our commitment to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So my suggestion was that perhaps we can downgrade our participation and could attend at the level of the Minister of State, or perhaps virtual, as we did in the case of the Defense Ministers meeting in New Delhi. So, there were many options available, but the government, since the government decided to go ahead and to send the foreign minister. So let's see, I do not know, because it's such multilateral fora, things can happen. I'm sure.
Sushant Sareen,
I'm sure that pleasantries would be exchanged as a host. Indian foreign minister will shake hands with our foreign minister, and that's it. I do not see anything beyond that.
Sushant Sareen, Bilawal Bhutto is here. Those are facts on the ground. He may not be the most wanted guest and the most welcome guest in India, given what he said. In any case, given our current state of relationship with Pakistan, how do you think Minister Jaishankar should deal with Bhutto in the dinner tonight and in the meetings tomorrow? Just ignore him, engage with him, he is a guest in our country, extend basic pleasantries. Is there at all any rationale even for a brief conversation or a pull aside?
Look, I think Dr. Jaishankar will probably extend all the necessary courtesies, but nothing beyond that. But I would strongly counsel that if he does shake his hands with Bilawal Bhutto, he should count his fingers after that, knowing how the Pakistanis behave. But I think it's very important, Rahul. I hope at least the government does not hype up Bilawal Bhutto's visit the way the media is doing, because frankly, he brings nothing to the table. He is part of a government which is neither here nor there. They don't know whether they are coming or they are going. You have a country which is in complete chaos. I don't think you have a single credible interlocutor left in Pakistan. So what is the purpose which is going to be served in any case by engaging with these guys. In any case, even when you engage with these guys, they promise you many things and they deliver on nothing. So I don't see any thing really coming out of this particular event, if you will, except for the fact that I think Geeta Mohan is having a nice holiday in Goa for whatever it's worth, and I'm on your show for whatever that is worth.
You know, poor Geeta, she's live at 8:10 p.m. when she's so close to the beach in Goa.
Not.
This doesn't sound Sushant thinking you're having a party. Geeta, what's going on here? What does Sushant know that I don't?
Absolutely not, Sushant. Also, this obsession with only Pakistan. We have Russia-India bilateral that took place, China-India bilateral that took place, Sushant. I'm here for some very serious reporting, and I've been doing that. Pakistan is just a side story. It might be an important one for certain quarters, but it's a side story. There are very important engagements that took place over here. Take your words back, Sushant.
Okay, Geeta, I don't know about Bilawal Bhutto being riled or not, but you got Geeta totally riled up, Sushant. But
I don't grudge Geeta being in Goa. I certainly don't grudge it. All I'm saying is, but now, Rahul, on a more serious note, I'm glad Geeta said what she said. I'm glad she said what she said, because actually I think India diminishes itself by constantly harping on Pakistan. It is an irrelevant place. There is only nuisance value coming from Pakistan. And of course, the Pakistanis live in an alternate reality where they think that India is actually very desperate to be seen shaking hands with this guy, Bilawal Bhutto, right? They actually think that India needs to do something so that relations come back on. India doesn't need to do anything. If the Pakistanis don't want good relations with India, they can go take a hike for all we care. It's no skin of our nose, because Pakistan, as far as India is concerned, is increasingly a marginal country. If there was no terrorism coming from Pakistan, I don't think anybody would even talk about Pakistan in India anymore.
Okay.
So I think that's the reality. Unless, of course, the Pakistanis want to live in an alternate reality and think they're very important, they're welcome to it. But look at the hash they've made of their own country with their delusions.
Okay, I want to go across to Brahma Chalani on the meeting with Qin Gang, the Chinese foreign minister, because remember, sometime in June is when Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, is likely to be in India for the SCO summit meetings. And a lot of what will take place tomorrow in the SCO Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting is to set the agenda for the outcome document of the SCO summit meeting, where India is pushing for modernization of the SCO agenda. India is pushing for English to be included as a formal language. Right now, Mandarin and Russian are the two official languages of the SCO. So that's the kind of agenda India is hitting this meeting with. Before that, Brahma Chalani, what's your estimate? Is China likely to pull back in Demchok, in Depsang, where the military standoff between the Indian Army and the PLA continues? Because, would they be wanting to set a positive context for Xi Jinping coming to India to meet Prime Minister Modi, or are they likely to take the position that it doesn't matter, these are facts on the ground, we've got our men where we want them and there's no question of pulling back?
The fact is that Xi Jinping faces a catch-22 situation. The military standoff with India is the result of his territorial aggression against India. Yet, he cannot end this military standoff without losing face. Because when he committed this territorial aggression, he thought that he could actually force India to accept the new territorial status quo. But far from buckling, India has stood up to China in a way that no other power, not even the United States, has taken on China militarily in this century. So for 3 years now, China is locked in a military confrontation with India, with tens of thousands of rival forces in eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation in some areas. So this military standoff is an embarrassment for Xi Jinping, and yet he doesn't know how to end this military standoff with India without losing face. That probably explains the fact that even when his defense minister came to New Delhi recently, the military talks between China and India made no progress whatsoever. So the Chinese foreign minister coming to India for the SCO meeting is not going to be very different. They there's unlikely to be any movement on the border confrontation.
Okay, remember General Li Shangfu was in India April 27th, 28th for the SCO Defence Ministers meeting. He met with our Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, and the last border meeting took place on the 23rd of April. That was the 18th such meeting between the Indian and the Chinese armies. Pangong So, Patrolling Point 17, Gogra Hot Springs, PP-15 and Galwan seemingly resolved. The confrontation in Depsang, in Daulat Beg Oldie and in the Demchok sector continue. Colonel Shukla, using your military mind, what of the two outcomes is more likely in your view? Will the PLA look to create circumstances which allow for disengagement and de-escalation in Depsang and Demchok before June, or will they just let facts be? Because Minister Jaishankar, to his credit, has been as candid and as brutal about the current state of play between India and China as is possible for any serving minister to be.
Rahul, I think that India has been making a significant and a serious effort over these preceding months to get China to withdraw from places like Depsang and Demchok, which have not yet been covered by the disengagement plan. But the Chinese do not seem to be having sort of any intention of obliging India on this count. So it takes two hands to clap, really. And so far, it seems that India is the only hand that's attempting to clap.
No, but it's very awkward for Xi Jinping. I'm just trying to imagine the thinking in Beijing, because you're coming to India. Like Bilawal Bhutto is virtually persona non grata. From what I understand of Prime Minister Modi, there's no way he'll be doing a pull aside or a bilateral with Xi Jinping given the state of the border between India and China at this moment. Does that then put a little extra pressure on China, given the kind of global role that Beijing is trying to assume, to at least pull back so that and he's not going to come just once, he's going to come in June for SCO, in September, in the second week he'll be here for the G20 meeting. You come and then you don't meet the host country for a person who thinks he's going to be leader of the world. That's not a happy spot to be in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's awkward in the extreme. But you remember that when Xi Jinping came to Ahmedabad, they had done exactly the same thing. They infiltrated and sort of got into Depsang. So the Chinese seem to be sort of quite comfortable with this kind of awkwardness. Whether they sort of see it in the long term as diminishing their status as a global superpower, it does not seem to be the case. The Chinese academics that we speak to say that it's something that a lesson that the Chinese want to serve on India at a point like this when sort of Xi Jinping is visiting. So I don't know. I mean, in normal circumstances, yes, it would want the sort of visiting country would want to de-escalate tensions, but with China, you just don't know.
Sushant Sareen, your reading of the state of play in Beijing at this moment, two completely contrarian theories. We don't know which one will ultimately be true. One, that Beijing will want to de-escalate and disengage before Xi comes to India, because how do you go in? The Prime Minister is not going to spend time with you. You come to India, don't meet Prime Minister Modi. That's something that will be noticed globally. That takes away from the global statesman like avatar that she's now trying to adorn. And the other is that these are facts on the ground. You want to change them? Come in, take my army down if you can. Otherwise, I'm going nowhere.
Yeah, Rahul, I'm inclined to agree with what Ajay is saying. And there is a reason for that. The Chinese will probably continue to play hardball, just like we will. But I think we need to take our hardball to the next level. Frankly speaking, yes, the standoff is there. Yes, we've kind of stopped the Chinese where they are, and we're not backing down. All of that is all very well. And I agree that, we've done what many other countries have not been able to do with the Chinese. But I think we need to take it to the next level. And that is where we have been somewhat remiss, not just in the economic domain, but also in other, because where is the price that the Chinese are going to be paying for this kind of bloody-mindedness which they have shown and the kind of aggressiveness which they've shown along the borders which were largely peaceful, in fact completely peaceful in many ways, and they've disturbed the status quo. And since they've disturbed the status quo, they need to walk back. Now, I don't think India needs to give any face saver to the Chinese. That would be a mistake. So I think we really need to take this to the next level. But I sense a kind of reluctance in the Indian establishment to go down that road. So they're trying to pussyfoot around this whole thing and trying to make it into kind of a brinkmanship, that they will not take it beyond a certain point, but they will not blink as far as the Chinese are concerned. So this standoff is likely to continue for the foreseeable future. I would be very surprised if the Chinese were to strike a deal which we could live with on the border question right now.
Okay, let's spend a moment on Russia, because amongst the meetings that Minister Jaishankar did was a bilateral with Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia. And remember, this is when a Ukrainian counter-offensive is widely expected, and you had the Russia accuse Ukraine of trying to assassinate President Putin, a charge that Ukraine denied, a charge that the US has denied as well, because their involvement was alleged too. From the perspective of Russia, Brahmachalani, SCO is one of the very few regional bodies at this moment where Russia isn't persona non grata. They've got some friends, some not so friendly countries, but no enemies. In most other groupings, if for example it's G20, Sergei Lavrov would find the other people quite hostile. This is one country, because the other people who are there, you've got the Kazakh foreign minister, the Kyrgyzstan foreign minister, the Tajikistan foreign minister, Uzbekistan, apart from Pakistan, Russia and China. So there's no enemy per se. How would Russia be seeing the significance of the SCO meeting? That on your screen right now, just one moment, are images of Bilawal Bhutto meeting Sergei Lavrov. This coming in right now, just before the dinner, the Russian foreign minister meeting the Pakistani foreign minister. But go on, Brahmachalani.
Well, first, much of the world has taken a neutral or independent stance on the war in Ukraine. So Russia is far from isolated. Even in the G20, it's the Western bloc that refuses to let the G20 function, which refuses to let G20 issue a consensus statement. So definitely in the SCO, Russia has a more congenial environment, because the SCO is clearly under Chinese and Russian shadow. The fact that the SCO holds its deliberations only in two languages, Mandarin and Russian, attests to the fact that it's very much a Chinese and Russian dominated organization. But there's a larger issue at stake today, which is that after the recent developments, especially the supposed drone attack on the Kremlin and Moscow's allegation that the US was behind the drone attack, there is a real risk of the war in Ukraine escalating to a direct conflict between Russia and the United States. There are also reports now in today's New York Times, for example, that Russia is planning to sabotage undersea internet and energy cables that are the lifelines for the Western countries, in retaliation for the reported US-led covert operation that blew up 3 of the 4 Nord Stream gas pipelines. So we are seeing a very dangerous situation at the moment, and Lavrov being in New Delhi is a very important development in the bilateral context. But today, the international situation is fraught with real dangers.
Okay, Geeta Mohan, can you give us your sense of how that bilateral meeting between Foreign Minister Jaishankar and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov went? What was on the agenda? What was discussed? What's the takeaway?
Well, Well, there are many areas and issues when it comes to Russia and India. For one, the fact that there has been an attack on the Kremlin and Russia is considering it an attempt to assassinate President Putin, is how they've labeled it, is a matter of concern, and that did come up during the conversations. But the focus remained on energy and food security, how to move forward. There is a huge issue when it comes to the payment systems, which is again a part of the SCO format as well, Rahul, where they're looking at currency exchange. Many call it de-dollarization of the petro economy by allowing petro and gas economy, by allowing exchange in local currency. So these are matters that did come up, but in the larger perspective, conflicts, energy and economic cooperation, these are areas that were covered between and by the two ministers.
You know, many people would wonder whether it serves any purpose for India to be part of a regional grouping like the Shanghai Corporation Organization, given the fact, Sushant Sareen, that the name itself has Shanghai in it, the official languages are Mandarin and Russian, there's not even English there, and that this is as dominated by Russia, China and Central Asian countries. India is a participant but not at the core and center of what is essentially a Chinese-Russian grouping, where they've now invited countries like India and Pakistan, the next countries to join are Belarus and Iran. Does it really make sense for India to be part of this? What purpose does it serve?
Rahul, I think the only purpose it really serves is that it's better to be in the tent rather than out of it. Other than that, yes, there is a kind of a contradiction, because a lot of our interests lie with the West, not so much with the SCO bloc, but we still have very important interests in the SCO bloc also. Now the Russians pulled us in because they wanted, some kind of a counter to the growing Chinese dominance. The Chinese brought in the Pakistanis as quid pro quo. So there is that kind of a tango which is going on. But I think what is important is going to be, I would be very curious to see what the declaration tomorrow is going to be, because if the past is anything to go by, the Russian foreign minister has often embarrassed India by making certain statements, which, we are not exactly going to be very comfortable with, because they kind of spoil our relations with the rest of the West. So I wonder if he'll desist this time, but given what has happened in Moscow yesterday, day before, I very much doubt it. I think the Russians are going to be upping the ante, which kind of puts us in a bit of a difficult spot. So I think Indian diplomacy has really got its work cut out for it in this particular summit. But in the larger context, I think it is important to be part of a grouping which has important countries of the region in it, because there are certain interests that we can at least try and protect much better by being part of this grouping rather than being
Geeta Mohan, what's happening in Goa at this moment?
We've always opposed the Chinese, BRI, and we've been a standout on that. While all the other countries have signed on the BRI, we have been a standout in that. But if that is what we have to do, then that is what we'll do.
No, sure, but that also impacts the language and the formulation of the joint statement that would be put out after the summit in June, because China would want a lot of this phraseology which originates in Beijing to be part of that declaration, which India simply cannot accept, because the BRI passes through territory that India says belongs to us. I want to go back to Geeta Mohan on what's happening at this moment. I'm told there's a cultural festival going on. It's interesting also that there are no live images. Ordinarily, such an event would be telecast live because it's the cultural extravaganza of India which would be at full display. But is it because of Mr. Bhutto that we're not getting any live images of what's going on at that dinner?
Well, absolutely, Rahul. It surprised us all that visuals of the cultural event will be shared with us a little later, but no visuals of the ministers or the dinner. So that's quite interesting, but it has two very important aspects. One is that whether if there is going to be a handshake or a meeting or a brief conversation between the two sides, should that be shown or not. On the other hand, there is also the China factor. while the bilateral did take place, we do not know whether if the Indian side would want the visuals out. But that has never kept information from trickling into the media. We're talking about the Pakistani side, Rahul. So let's wait and see whether if a handshake did take place or not. Also interesting, the dinner was to start at around 7:40 and Bilawal was meeting Lavrov till very late, till about 8 p.m. So we do not know whether if he entered or he reached the venue late or has he reached or not. No information trickling in. We are waiting for a word of confirmation whether Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is in fact at that dinner or not.
Okay, we'll slip into a quick break right now. We'll continue tracking this meeting that's taking place in Goa. Hopefully, we'll get some images from there. I want to thank Sushant Sareen, Geeta Mohan and Colonel Shukla for joining us. We'll have a lot more for you when we come back from Goa and from Karnataka. I'll return on the other side of a very quick break. Stay with us.
They may not have the necessary resources, they may not have the finances, but where there is a will, there is a way. These superwomen living in a slum in UP's Prayagraj have commenced their own tiffin service. For 50 rupees, you can get a piping hot meal of dal, chawal, roti, sabzi and salad.
टिफिन सर्विस के काम हम लोग अब खाना बनाने लगे हैं। खाना यहाँ अच्छा लगता है और वहाँ काम करने झाड़ू पोछा जाते थे तो 4 बात सुननी पड़ती। कभी लड़का बीमार हो गया, आज नहीं आएंगे, क्यों नहीं आओगी, पैसा काट लेंगे, पैसा नहीं देंगे। अब यहाँ है तो अच्छा लगता है, आपको खर्चा भी निकल आता है हम लोग को।
Their daughters also chip in after school, helping in packing food and of course spreading the word on their mother's amazing service. Several other girls also help in any way they can. The tiffin service has now become a community affair.
मेरे बस्ती के लोग बहुत मतलब सब चूल्हा बर्तन करते हैं। मेरी मम्मी भी चूल्हा बर्तन करने जाती हैं। मैं यहाँ पर शुरुआत में खाना भी बनाती हूँ, मैं पढ़ती भी हूँ और इससे मेरा खर्चा भी निकल जाता है, इससे मेरे परिवार भी खुश है।
So who's the motivator? Who pushed these women to pursue their passion and earn a buck or two? Meet Abhishek. He teaches the children of this slum and decided to help out these ladies to become self-reliant.
हम लोग पिछले 7 वर्षों से जो स्लम की बच्चियां होते हैं, बच्चे होते हैं, उनको शिक्षित करने का काम कर रहे हैं और इसके साथ साथ में हम उन्हें स्वावलंबी बनाने के लिए लगातार प्रयास कर रहे थे। तो उसी दौरान हमें पता चला कि जो यहाँ की महिलाएं होती हैं उनके अंदर प्रतिभा तो बहुत होता है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं उसको सही प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं मिल पा रहा है। तो उनसे बात करके हमने एक टिफ़िन सर्विस की शुरुआत की।
These women have now transformed their families' lives, bringing in money to feed everyone at home. With Pankaj Srivastav in Prayagraj, Bureau Report, India Today.
Amidst Karnataka's poisonous snake politics, we set out to find the king. Welcome to Agumbe, the land of the king. In search of India's national reptile, Mission King Cobra in Karnataka's mountains. A heart-stopping encounter with reptile royalty. The return of the king.
मत RCB or MI? Don't miss the coffee. There we have it. Death by chocolate. I am being given a lungi.
To finish the game, Joker is required.
This is not UPBR. Soumya Reddy is the Rahul Gandhi of Jayanagar.
Ragi mudde, country chicken. Kaun banega mukhyamantri? Winning. This akki roti, I want to tell you, tumba chennagi ide.
Time for lunch with our special guest.
Welcome.
Absolutely super.
You're on board the Newstrack. The Bajrang Dal has become the major flashpoint in Karnataka. With just days to go for the elections, the Hindu group chanted Hanuman Chalisa across the country to protest the Congress's bold promise of banning the outfit. The party, meanwhile, seems to have made a U-turn as top Congress leaders are now lining up to seek the blessings of Bajrang Bali.
Jai Bajrang Bali is the BJP's war cry as Karnataka inches closer to assembly elections next week.
दोनों हाथ ऊपर करके मेरे साथ बोलिए बजरंग बली की बजरंग बली की
A day after Prime Minister Narendra Modi exhorted people to chant Jai Bajrang Bali while casting their vote, ruling party leaders, cadre and workers of Bajrang Dal recited the Hanuman Chalisa in temples across Karnataka. In several cities in Karnataka and across India, angry Bajrang Dal workers staged protests at Congress offices and burnt the Congress manifesto. To protest the Grand Old Party's promise of imposing a PFI-like ban on Bajrang Dal. The BJP is firing on all cylinders to galvanize support, making full use of the Congress poll pledge to ban the Bajrang Dal.
ರಾಮನಿಗೂ ಹನುಮಂಗೆ ಏನು ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆ ಅದೇ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಆಂಜನೇಯನಿಗೂ ಬಜರಂಗ ಬಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಭಾವನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಧಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಚುನಾವಣೆ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ
The BJP has come out in strong support of the Bajrang Dal, the youth wing of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. BJP leader Ishwarappa led protests against the Congress by burning the manifesto.
ಇವತ್ತು ಡಿ ಕೆ ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಜಾತಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿ. ನಾನು ಒಕ್ಕಲಿಗರ ಪೂರನ ಜೊತೆ ಬಂದು ಹಿಂದಿತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ವಾ? ಹೇಳಿ. ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯನವರು ಹೇಳಿ, ನಾನು ಹಿಂದುಳಿದರ ಅವ್ರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಜಾತಿವಾದಿಗಳ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ.
Having given their rivals some free ammunition, the Congress is struggling to control the damage, even as the BJP is accusing them of insulting Lord Hanuman.
ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಈ ನಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಇದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಕ್ಷ ಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮನ ನಾವು ರೂಪಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ.
Congress leaders, please participate in this because you wanted to listen Hanuman Chalisa from our workers because they are telling that Surjewala is telling that बीजेपी कार्यकर्ता को हनुमान चालीसा नहीं आती है, इसीलिए आज 7 बजे हम उसको सुनाना चाहते हैं.
Facing protests from Hindutva outfits, the Congress backpedaled on the Bajrang Dal ban.
ಇದರ ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾಪ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಇಂತ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನೋಡಿ ಹೇಟ್ ಪಾಲಿಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಇದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರಬಹುದು. ಆದರೆ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್. ನಾನು ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ಆಸ್ ಎ ಲೀಡರ್, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಟು ಬ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಜರಂಗ್ ಬಲಿ.
The Congress, which had put the BJP on the mat over issues like corruption and price rise, is now struggling to find an answer to BJP's Bajrang Bali politics.
The latest flashpoint in election-bound Karnataka is the Congress's promise on the ban of the pro-Hindu outfit Bajrang Dal. The BJP has gone all guns blazing, accusing Congress of doing this at the behest of SDPI and PFI. While there are many voices calling this as a tragic move because the main focus should be on development, it remains to be seen to what extent will this have an impact on the minds of voters. With video journalist Madhuwar, Anaka Keshav for India Today, Shigao.
There was high drama at Jantar Mantar in the capital as protesting wrestlers and the Delhi police came to blows. Literally, the wrestlers say the cops assaulted them at midnight and are now threatening to return their international medals.
Lifting the nation's spirits on the global stage. Wrestling with the system at home. The medal-winning champions camping at Delhi's Jantar Mantar since April 23rd accused the police of assaulting them late Wednesday night.
इसी दिन देखने के लिए मेडल लेके आया तो मैं चाहूंगी कि देश का कोई खिलाड़ी मेडल ही ना लेके आए कभी इतनी दूरदर्शी कर रखी है हमारे यहाँ पे
India's top female wrestlers calling for arrest of their federation chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who then accused of sexually abusing athletes. Charges he denies. The protesters alleged some drunk police personnel assaulted them on Wednesday night when they tried to bring beds to Jantar Mantar after a rainy day.
अभी हम खाना भी नहीं खा रहे थे सब लोग बैठे ही थे ना तो क्या आए थे जैसे ही आए तो हमारे फट्टे आ रखे हैं सोने के लिए आप अंदर जाके देख लेना पानी भरा हुआ सोने की जगह नहीं है हमारे पास किसी के पास भी हम सोचे फट्टे मंगा के सो जाएंगे फट्टे लेके आने लगे तो वो धर्मेंद्र जो भी है वो सीधा खुद अकेला महिला पुलिसकर्मी नहीं थी वो खुद धक्के मारने लगे हमें
Rio Olympics bronze medalist Sakshi Malik broke down. Fellow wrestler Vinesh Fogart consoled her at the sight. The Delhi police denied the accusations. In a statement, the police insisted it was a minor altercation during which some supporters of the protesting wrestlers turned aggressive in trying to get the beds out of a truck. AAP leader Somnath Bharti was detained as he reached the site carrying folding beds without permission, police said. The protesting wrestlers, however, appealed for more support from across the country.
सारे देश की आज आप लोग सभी दिल्ली आ जाइए ये जबरदस्ती कर रहे हैं ना बहन बेटियों को गाली दे रहे हैं और ब्रिजभूषण का भी तक इन्हें कुछ नहीं किया ये इनका हाल है पुलिस प्रशासन का
Upset, the protesters also spoke about returning their medals.
इतनी बेइज्जती कर दी हमारी कुछ भी तो छोड़ा नहीं मान सम्मान की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं ऐसे पैरों के नीचे ऐसे रोंदे जा रहे हैं क्या किसी हर पुरुष को अधिकार मिल गया क्या लड़कियों के बारे में गाली देने का माँ बहन की गाली दे रहे हैं हम मेडल के साथ में अपनी जान भी दे देंगे इंसाफ तो दिलवा दो
Congress leader Rahul Gandhi attacked the BJP as he tweeted out the video of protesting female wrestlers in distress. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has closed the proceedings in view of the registration of FIRs against the WFI chief. Wrestlers have been advised to approach the Judicial Magistrate or the High Court for further relief. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where I wrap up the Newstrack tonight. We have a big exclusive lined up for you tomorrow on India Today, so I do hope to see you as we discuss that. Don't want to give it away just now, but a big one coming up tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you for that. Goodbye, good night, stay well, stay safe.
Plane explain to all our viewers what are the key reasons behind this? Is it the absence of a smooth system that we have in India where one can go out, report, file complaints that one has really faced a financial fraud? Or is it less people really going out to the respective places to at least report that they have faced something like this? What exactly are the key reasons that you have been able to spot here?
So first and foremost, Sakshi, is, they don't know where to go. So people don't know if, let's say they got a link through WhatsApp, they clicked on that link, they were supposed to get something or they were promised something, but 2,000 rupees came out of their account, right? They don't know where to go. And in many cases, the amounts are not huge. So therefore, they feel, is it really worth it to go to the police station and, spend hours and hours there trying to register a complaint? So that's, resistance to complaining. Second is, you go to the police station and, the staff there is not sensitized or is aware about how to handle online fraud complaints, right? So that's the second issue that people face. Now, if they go beyond that and they are able to get a complaint registered, either with the police or with the bank, or with the platform where they have lost the money, then after that, it's a cumbersome redressal and a very time-consuming redressal process. So the combination of these three things essentially leads to majority of the people basically, still being dissatisfied after filing a complaint or after facing this kind of fraud.
Increasingly, we are using